everybody? Welcome back to the 31 Days of Horror. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yes, day 14 is here on the 31 Days of Horror Volume 4, and yes, I am still very sick. I sound like shit right now, and I feel how I sound. But we're continuing along because I love this time of year, and I like doing this series, and so for today, we're going to take it back to the awesome and glorious year of 1984. I don't know if everybody agrees with me. I don't even know if I agree with myself at 84. It was okay. With a film called Rocktober Blood. Now, I had to do Rocktober Blood in the 31 Days of Horror because it's Rocktober Blood. Yes, this is a metal slasher film from 84, where 84 was kind of the end of the golden age of slasher films. A lot of kind of mediocre to average films were coming out about then, even though it was the same year that we got Silent Night, Deadly Night, Nightmare on Elm Street, so there is some classic films that came out there, but it was kind of the end of the slasher film. So getting into the synopsis of this one here, this one follows the main character Billy, who is the lead singer of this group called Rocktober Blood. Pretty awesome title. So he's in the studio one night, and he's doing some recording and shit, and he just goes batshit insane, crazy, and decides that he's going to kill everybody in the studio. He ends up killing, they say in the film, 25 people. They only show, I think, maybe 2 kills on screen. And now it jumps forward to 2 years later. He was tried, convicted, and executed for the murder of all these people. And his girlfriend at the time, Lynn, who has actually pinpointed him as the murderer, has now taken over the lead duties of the band Rocktober Blood. And yeah, so it's 2 years later, she's fronting the band, and of course, all of a sudden she's being stalked, and she's being stalked by somebody, and people are going missing and things like that, and she discovers that it's Billy. She's convinced it's Billy that is doing all these killings. Of course, everyone around her thinks that she's crazy because everybody knows that Billy was executed 2 years prior, but she's convinced it's Billy, and so that's the synopsis of the film. Get into my thoughts on this one. Now, Rocktober Blood is one of those films that has an awesome setup. You know, it's a metal slasher film from the 80s. It's got a banging soundtrack to it, you know, original music from the band Sorcery. And actually, the guy that plays Lynn's boyfriend in this movie, Nigel Benjamin, actually is the voice of the songs. He dubs over Billy's voice in this. So that's kind of cool to see the face who's actually the voice behind the music in this. Some of the tracks and stuff. So that's kind of cool. The band Sorcery was, had a lot of, professional players and stuff. So the music is pretty cool. It's another interesting fact about this, that it was all done for the film. Very low budget slash, but had a really banging original soundtrack. Which leads me to say that that's probably the highlight of the movie, is the soundtrack and, the stage scenes and things like that. That's definitely the highlight for me. Having a music background and working in studios and recording bands, I love shit like this, just to see people recording, engineering and things, studios. I'm always interested in that. The movie starts out pretty good, We get a couple on-screen kills, then it really tapers off in the middle. This one drags a lot. There's a lot of that paranoia going on with Lynn. Of course, nobody believes her, and it just kind of goes over and over and over. She gets to the point where she actually wants to dig up Billy's body, to find out that he's still in the grave or not. And, it's very bland, but it picks up in the last, 15 minutes of the film. It's got this really cool end, with the stage show and shit like that. Won't give everything away. You've probably seen this one before, but Rocktober Blood is one of those films that, just like I said, should have been a lot better. If they just had a lot better kills. The acting in the film, of course, is very 80s. It's pretty bad for the most part. In fact, everybody in here is very amateurish. Some of the dialogue is pretty bad too. But with all that said, though, it's still very entertaining to a point. Even though it's kind of bland in the middle, you still are anticipating that awesome music and stuff. And that's kind of the driving force behind this one. It's very surprising with as many characters that are in this film and stuff. There's not that many kills, to be honest. Most of the good shit happens in the last 15-20 minutes, which is very much like a lot of these slasher films from the 80s. They start out good, they get bland in the middle, and then they kind of finish off strong. That's pretty much what you get with Rocktober Blood. It's actually surprisingly shot pretty cool. There's very interesting shit going on here. I don't know what's going on with Beverly Sebastian, who directed this film, is also known for directing Gator Bait 1 and 2. Gator Bait I love. It was like from '74. It's like a rape revenge film. Gator Bait 2, pretty much the same thing, just not as good. Yeah, just not as good. And then they also did Running Cool, which is kind of an interesting, I think it was like an action film. Yeah, this one right here, it has like all these kind of weird shots where you can see stars in the picture, like in the frames and shit. It's really weird. Probably something to do with, you know, the whole music industry and metal. I don't know. But something I caught on to while watching this. But Rocktober Blood, man, what can I say? It's not a top tier slasher from the 80s. Like I said, this one came out at the end of the golden age of slashers, and it really does show. You know, it doesn't bring anything new to the table, except for the fact, I mean, even the rock element of it isn't even that new. But at least it has that going for it. It's a very small subgenre of slashers, these heavy metal slashers. There's lots of them, maybe not enough. You know, I wish they had made more of these. But yeah, Rocktober Blood. If I had to rate this one, I'm going to give it about a 6 out of 10. It's not the greatest film. I still like watching this one every once in a while. Now, I want to talk about this DVD. You're probably wondering, where the fuck do you get that DVD from? Yes, this movie doesn't really have an official release. This is actually a DVD bought from Amazon. It's totally 100% a bootleg, though. It's a DVD-R. It's VHS quality. Actually, the quality on the DVD is probably the best version of a VHS you could possibly get, though. It actually does look pretty damn good. But the funniest thing about this movie, it says the running time on the back is 100 minutes. Now, I've seen this movie many times in the past, and I kept thinking to myself, going, why is the running time 100 minutes? Because I even checked when I pressed play on it, and you know, it's even so cheap it doesn't have a menu. I had to pause it on the opening title here. So I even checked, I'm like, 100 minutes. I'm like, what is this, some type of extended cut? Because I'd actually popped this DVD once before, only got halfway through it, never finished it. So today when I got through it, the credits started rolling at 85 minutes, like it was intended to be. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I fast forward through the credits, and then it cuts in to some weird dog training thing. Yeah, the version that they put on this DVD is definitely taken from, it was recorded onto a VHS tape from TV, I'm assuming, and whatever they recorded over started playing after. And that's the other 15 minutes of this weird kind of 80s dog show shit. It's fucking, that is some insanely low budget shit. It even says 2016 copyright Sebastian Trust. So they even use the director's name on here to try to pull it off like it's a legit DVD release. Totally not 100% not a DVD release. Legit DVD release. Yeah, I know there is like a semi-legit Blu-ray release. That one was like put out by, I think, Billy? The guy that played Billy, I'm not sure if that was him, had the soundtrack and shit like that. I heard that was the worst transfer ever. It was like a $50 Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah. Shipping was atrocious. There's videos on YouTube about how bad that Blu-ray release is, but I've heard stay far away from that. But this is a movie I would like to see get a good edition of someday. Anyways, I digress. Rocktober Blood here, day 14. It's still a decent watch, it's just not a top shelf slasher. Better kills in that movie would have totally made it 100% better, and maybe snugged up in the middle, edited down the middle a little bit. We didn't need all that repetitive fucking shit that was going on, so. But anyways, guys, I'll check you guys tomorrow in day 15. And yeah, as usual, deuces!